Helmets Off, brought to you by WCF Insurance, is now on, and so is life in the NFL. I thought it'd be interesting to maybe share a little bit of what goes on in a player's preparation for each week in the NFL. So I'm going to go through kind of a day by day, this is how it works, this is the flow of the week, and give you an idea of actually how much time goes into the actual mental and physical preparation of each and every week. All right, it starts on Monday, and Monday typically is the day after a game. So you're really sore. I mean, really sore. You've just basically been in about 8 or 9 car accidents or the equivalent thereof. So you don't really feel all that great physically. So the idea is to go into the facility and get your blood flowing. So you do a little bit of weightlifting, you do some running, and then it's all about watching film. So as a quarterback, you start watching your next opponent. And you'll watch the last 3-4 games of an opponent and maybe even some other video or things that they have happening. And then you go and you sit down with the entire team and you actually watch it as an offense and defense, the game from the day before. And this is always the worst part of the whole week because whether you won or lost, you just want to get the game behind you. And the only way you get it behind you is actually reviewing the game. Because what happens is you go and actually play in the game, and then afterwards your mind starts unwinding all of the things that you start reliving it over and over. And sometimes it's actually really hard to sleep the night after a game because you're like, oh man, I should have done that, or oh, that was awesome. And so you start reliving the game. Really hard thing to sleep. So you want to have that Monday where you watch the film and put it behind you. Of course, the thing I found that was so fascinating about watching the game film is you'd have a great game, you'd win, and you'd watch the game film and you go, wow, we didn't really play that great. We were lucky to win. And then you have a game where you lost and you think it's just really terrible, and you watch the game film and you're like, we played pretty good. You know, we should have done a lot better than this. And so it was almost 100% of the time, it's never as bad as you think it is, and it's never as good as you think it is. It's always kind of somewhere in the middle. So then Tuesday's your day off. Well, as a quarterback, you never have time off because you're actually getting the game plan, you're preparing for the next week. So you try to get away from things, and I always tried to get away. I tried to do something that just was totally off the radar of football. A lot of guys, when I lived in northern states, a lot of guys hunted, or they fished, or they did something. I kind of like to fish, or a lot of guys play golf, but you're kind of sore, you know, so golf isn't all really that fun and exciting because it's kind of painful. But you get yourself away from it a little bit. And then Wednesday always started really early in the morning for me. So I go in early on Wednesday mornings, I'd actually work out, and you start planning the week. And all football is you take a segment of each game or each part of the game and you break it down. So it's, what do we like passing the ball on first and second down, and you watch the opponent and the plays that you like, and you start formulating a game plan of really good plays that you feel confident with and you feel will be successful, and those are the ones you work on kind of first and second down. Then you go into third down and you break down third down because that's a really critical part of the game. Okay, so Wednesday is more first and second down, just general, here's the game plan. You go through everything. So you go out, the coaches lay out the game plan. They talk about the opponent, which I always thought was weird because they would go through and they try to tell you everything about every player. And it was like, yeah, they're all really good. Now, there were times when you had a specific player like a Bruce Smith or maybe a Reggie White, sometimes these defensive linemen where it's like we can't block them with one guy. So you have to adjust your protections to help, you know, with a really special player. Or if you had a defender like Deion Sanders, you had to learn what passes to throw against Deion Sanders and what passes not to, because Deion liked to intercept the ball and run it back for touchdowns. So you had to learn that routes breaking in against Deion Sanders were better than routes breaking out. And you just learned how to kind of work against really good players, because everyone kind of has their weakness, or there's always a way to defeat a really good player or a really good defense. So you'd kind of go through all that and you get your game plan together. That was kind of Wednesday. And then Thursday was more specialized. So you're still working on first and second down, but now you're breaking down third down. And third down is the critical down in all of sports, because to convert on third down means you get 4 more downs, and you want to be really efficient on third down. The teams that are efficient on third down are typically the teams that do really well. And it's really third and short to medium. So the whole thing is on first and second down, we want to get ourselves where we have manageable third downs. That's kind of the goal. So you'll go third and really short, third and medium, and third and long, and you'll look at the defense, how do they defend on all of those, and then on all those situations, and then you put plays in that are effective against each one of those situations. So you start building this up in your mind. Okay, in third and short, we're going to run these 3 or 4 plays. On third and medium, we're going to run these plays, and then you start, and now you have a really good game plan. But then there's another segment of the game, and that comes typically on Thursday as well, and that's the red zone. And that the red zone, some teams call it the red zone. Other teams, actually the only team I was on that called it the green zone was the Miami Dolphins. The reason they called it the green zone because it was the money zone. It's where you score. It's where you make your money. And you have special plays that you want to call in the red zone. The red zone is the 20-yard line going in to score into the end zone. And once you got in that magic 20-yard area to go in to score, you were in the red zone. The hot zone, we got to make it happen zone. The field shortens, everything's quicker, you have to make decisions quicker, and there's certain rules. You cannot get turnovers ever in the red zone. No interceptions, no fumbles, because no matter what, if you don't score a touchdown, you don't get a first down, you're more than likely going to kick a field goal, and points are king in the NFL. So kicking field goals is a big deal. So you never want to give yourself an opportunity to not be able to kick it, at least a field goal in the red zone. So you talk about all your red zone plays, and one of the things we did that I thought was actually really smart is we tried to take end zone shots out around the 20-yard line. That way, because you still had some room. So a lot of we tried to make a go at the end zone earlier than later, than like when you get down to the 5-yard line, because it's really, really hard to score. It's really, really hard to pass effectively when you get close to down in the red zone. All right, and then the next segment is goal line and short yardage. And so you break down goal line and short yardage, and it's kind of pretty simple. It's like our guys are going to push your guys a little bit further, and we're going to win. And it's just this big, it's like a rugby. It's just this big clump of guys together, and it's whoever pushes the pile further. And a lot of times, which I hated and liked as a quarterback, because I was so tall, they love to call quarterback sneak. And there's a whole art to actually being an effective quarterback sneaker. And it wasn't just snap the ball and just run into the line. You were always looking for little gaps. You got to find the little gap. And sometimes the gap was actually jumping over everyone. But it was, where is that little gap? Because you only had to get just half a yard or a yard. And so you just find that little gap to just get that little spot. And sometimes actually hesitating and then seeing where the gap presented itself was actually a good thing to do. There is an art behind it, and believe it or not, actually study it. And then the last thing you do in a week, so you do all this on Wednesday and Thursday, you put in short yardage goal line, red zone, you do your first and second down plays, you do third down. This all happens on Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday, and they're kind of the same day, and they start really early and they end really late, because you have to watch the film of each one of these segments. You know, what does the team do in the red zone? What do they do on third down? What do they do on first and second down? So you get a really good feel of how they'd like to defend certain situations. And then on Friday's actually a light day, and it starts kind of early. You have meetings and then you have practice, and it's all in, like, there's no pads. So you're just in your helmets and shorts essentially. And it's a mental practice. So now all this stuff you've worked on, you're putting it all together. You're going through all of the different situations that you'll see in the game. And then the last thing you do is a 2-minute drill. And a lot of guys hate the 2-minute drill, and a lot of guys like it. I used to love it, because that's also another really critical moment in a football game, the last 2 minutes of the half and the game, and how you manage those, and if you can come away with points or eliminate your competition from getting points, they can be big deals, especially if you are a team that deferred and you get the ball back in the second half. So if you can go down, score, in the last 2 minutes you get the ball again, and it can be a 10, it can be a 14-point swing in a game, which is huge. It's like having 2 possessions in a row. So just being conscious of those situations is a critical component of really good and effective strategy. The thing that always impressed upon my mind, and it was about the 2-minute drill, but it was about the game plan in general, is that you wanted to free your mind up from thinking too much. And a lot of coaches thought they were really smart, and every week they'd come in with all these brand new exciting plays that would work against all these defenses. Well, the problem is that when you play in a game, it happens so fast that you have to just instinctively know things. And although you may know it intellectually or you understand what to do, to know it intuitively, to know it like the back of your hand is a whole different process. So players who have been in systems and the same system for a lot longer tend to be more effective. You look at guys like Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers or Ben Roethlisberger. These guys have been in a system for some time. They're going to have more success because they just understand and they know their plays and their system and the players they're playing with so much better. I always hated the coaches that just thought too much and thought they were really smart and they tried to do too many complicated things. It was kind of a paralysis by analysis, as they say, and it was not effective. I never was in a situation or a system where that ever was an effective thing. And that was like our 2-minute offense. We had 5 plays. 1996, we led the NFL in scoring in 2-minute situations, and we ran the same 5 plays all season long. And it was that we got very effective and very efficient at doing these things, and we had this unconscious confidence and competence because we just knew how to effectively run plays. Then Friday afternoon is always interesting because they always bring in pizza. And so they have these amazing, so you go to practice, you're done about 2 o'clock, everyone gets pizza. And that's kind of the second time in the week where that afternoon you want to kind of get yourself away from everything, because once Saturday rolls around, you really start dialing into, okay, I'm getting in game mode. And Saturday morning, you would actually go to meetings and you'd have a walkthrough practice. You'd go home, a lot of guys would watch football, or you'd get on an airplane and travel to wherever you were playing. And then you had meetings in the afternoon, whether you were at the hotel at home or on the road. You had a meeting that night. You got up in the morning and you got on the bus and went to the stadium. And all of this planning and preparation usually went out the window, and you were constantly adjusting because teams are adjusting to you, and you just had to have a really great ability of adapting on the fly, and that's when you had successful teams. And this grind just happened week after week after week, 16 weeks in a row, and you just got in this rhythm and flow of it, and it went by so fast. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Helmets Off is now off. You can text helmets to 65537. Go to all those social sites, and if you like this and you'd like to know more about it, please let me know, and I'll be happy to share more of some of those insights into what it's like to be a real professional. If you're smart, dial us in on your smartphone. Until then, we will catch you soon.